bad ideas on how this can happen.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and again, if you throw out enough bad ideas,
Right. Well, and sometimes you find success in a whole long series of failures. So you kind of have to have failure first, and every community's got plenty of those. We just have
first attempt in learning, right?
Yeah.
Is there a time limit on failure?
Yeah. It seems to come back and repeat itself everywhere. Just different.
Okay, so I guess that idea we defer then to maybe goal 5 and review.
Okay. Well, and I think what today should be focusing on goal 1 and goal 2 and what the concepts are, and then we'll do 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.
No, right, I understand that, but we talked a lot about this thing, and now we're going to push it to goal 5 discussion. So that's why I can take it off the table,
but ultimately,
and then we can move forward on the next.
Right, but ultimately, then we come back and say 1 through 6. Here's all the conversations we had over the last 3 meetings. Let's tweak it, approve it, send it to the board, and get our budget process started.
I think for goal 1, I think those action items are correct, and we might have additional information to add when we get the information back from the marketing plan.
That's true.
And so we may need to revisit it later, but I think right now those capture what we should be focused on.
Right, and the estimated time, we only have 6 goals, 2 tonight, 2 next month, 2 in March, and then April is culminate them all together, and right around that time, the city administrator will be on board, the board will be set, and we'll start down the new path associated with all of those things. Oh, and the budget gets ready to go, and we'll have to have the May meeting to kind of hammer out the budget recommendation or the budget ask that goes up.
Okay.
Okay?
Any more discussion on goal 1? Okay, goal 2, facilitate opportunities to encourage new business and development. And then we had one action with sub-bullets, develop a process for identifying and meeting needs of new businesses. And review and recommend changes to the current approval process for new business that will create a streamlined one-stop shopping process for all approvals, licenses, and permits. And use community partners to provide a clearinghouse of information for economic development, community development opportunities in Smithville. And I think we were waiting for Micah to come.
Yeah.
Right. And now that it's here, one of the things I will from what I've seen is that Micah and Leah working together a lot in conjunction with the chamber contract that we have for economic development stuff is kind of what we're using the second item in here, the community partners.
Well, and we're expanding it with
Right.
the job fair with the library and the school.
Right.
And with Square One, with all these educational components. So we're definitely doing that.
Right, and working together is that clearinghouse of information, and some of that also applies to later, in goal 4 or 6, one of those two, I think. No, 4, it must be 6. But ultimately, it's to get the information out and educate the businesses on how to do things. A lot of you see in the community events, Leah. So it seems as though we're in those places, I guess.
Yeah, I think this goal is focused mostly on when a new business wants to open a business in the town. What do they need? It's a process.
One of the first things I did was that checklist. Yep. And then I saw you updated it, which is great because we never really got any legs.
Yeah, I just updated and posted and made sure it's on the website the new business checklist for basically here's how to get a business started in the city, and it's available on our website. We have a social media post. I'll be running it probably every couple of months just to make sure anybody who needs it sees it.
I feel like we can't running out of time, but I think there are points we can expand on this goal for sure.
Yeah.
I think we're there, maybe not yet.
We're getting there, and the city website I think probably ought to act as that sort of clearinghouse where all the documents are stored. A lot of them already are there. Many of them are even fillable already. Not all of them. We're working on that, but yeah, I think that end goal really is just to have one place that you can go to say, here's everything you need to get started. We can't give the whole internet's worth of information in forms, but we can at least give them a place to start.
Is it, I'm just trying to figure out how, is there a packet that can be at the front desk? Is there a packet that can go to the chamber office?
I think there is, and I think that,
Sheet to direct them to
well,
the
I think that new business checklist is probably, I actually had a note here saying, we just updated that. We should either probably emphasize that as the starting point or create like a new dedicated web page, like part of our website for new businesses, and possibly both where that is the feature. But that document that I updated is a live PDF that has links to all of the city documents mentioned within it. So if you need to look at any of the policies or you need to get any of the forms, or it also has resources listed in it with live links to those resources. So theoretically, they can open that up and go anywhere they need to get their business started here. So we probably ought to emphasize either that as the starting point or a dedicated web page, either one.
Well, I would think that this isn't just new businesses.
Well, it's
should
goal
be
3 is for existing business.
Yeah, goal 3 is expanding.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I just, when it said new business and development, I didn't know if that meant developing existing ones or what. Okay.
Yeah.
So we're good on the existing ones for next time. Cool.
So do we need to add something else in here if we've got,
I don't know if we need to now, but I feel like we need to visit this one.
Well, and one of the, we're reviewing it, but I don't know that we have any definitive answers, and we're getting ready to get into the beef of what we're going to try to do with it.
Yeah. You know how long it took us to get these words.
Yeah, it took a while.
Well, and maybe something would be like business best practices or lessons learned. So things to just help somebody. It's not necessarily a regulation, but if there's certain things that the city would like, let's just say with signage, if they would prefer, there's all these different things that are open, but we would prefer these certain things. Maybe you let people know that Smithville's colors are kind of green and white because that's our high school colors. And it's a pretty simple example, but we could have, monument signs are the preferred when they're possible, let's say. I don't know what other things there could be, but if we provided best practices or kind of the way we like to see things done, or the way that we've seen people do things that are successful versus, the potential things that might trip them up, why not provide that?
Yeah.
Once we get the marketing plan in place and we start, I feel like we need to revisit them then, because I feel like facilitate opportunities to encourage development. I feel like we owe that to our community to really dive into that a little bit more than these 2 months. But I think we need our marketing plan to start going and then come back to me.
Well,
so do we need a motion to table this and come back to it, or just?
there is
Mr.
one
Chairman,
other
just
thing
wanna
though,
come back to it?
because he mentions sort of a concept of best practices, and that's fine. I think that's all something that could be incorporated into like the new business checklist or that webpage. But I think that's one of the things that really needs to be on this list of, are we going to officially keep up to date and back a single document or a single page that has all the information they need?
And let me structurally, some of this may be, there are 2 city staff members and another board staff member here that we're kind of tasked with doing these things. I think we got a whole bunch of good information just from this little conversation here as to where you guys are seeing holes, where you think we should bolster, and where we can. So some of this may be just the way staff implements it. Part of any plan is to set the goals of where we're going and give you a checklist of how the people tasked with implementing it are performing, we're starting to have that process.
I think when I started my business, may have came in to the front desk and asked, what all do I need to do? And there's kind of this empty look of, what do you mean, for what? What do you need? And I think with this checklist and things like that,
Yeah, a package.
just being able to refer to that is going to really help.
Especially at the initial point of contact.
Right. And I don't think that was available.
Your first opportunity is critical, and if we didn't have that, yeah.
And I would like for them to send you over to me so that I can have a more in-depth conversation about our community. So there's like those steps. That's where I feel like this goal 2 deserves a lot more than what's here. But I do think we need to really put some, here's your checklist, but here's a go to the Chamber office and get information about our community. And we can really work on this.
I think one of the other things, and when I started on this group, I mean, it was one of my major things, and I didn't realize it was in the strategic plan, the goals. I didn't realize that checklist on that was there, because that was right before that was all implemented right before I started. And it still, I don't believe it was referred back to me, hey, that is one of our major.
When did it actually exist? I know it might have been, the plan might have been there, but how much? Is it in there?
I updated was like 2014.
Okay, all right, yeah. So that's part of our problem is the communication of,
Yeah, that's where I think we,
So I think we're moving forward greatly on this problem. But it looks like it just needs some.
and I think that one is good, but maybe when they're coming up, I think paper, a packet to walk like a, lake pilot and a kind of a welcome.
Welcome, but that cover page has check boxes, and you really check them off so you know you finished what you finished.
Well, so to me, that's, I'm hearing you guys talk about resources that are outside of the government, and then also, like I mentioned before, the best practices, so, I don't know.
do we want to,
But those are just things to help,
do we want to
not required.
take time to ourselves and try to draft some items and come back and do goal 2 and 3 together? Because goal 3 is very similar to this, except for it refers to existing businesses and that. And
Either that or, like I said, 2 this month, 2 next month, 2 again the next month after that.
yeah,
and
I'm thinking
last
we're not
month
done
is-
with the first 2.
Right.
Really.
Right,
It sounds
but-
like, and I don't want to.
Well, I think
we can keep going. I guess.
Right. No, I think the critical element, Pete, is each one of those are individual, and each one of those is tied to the other.
Yeah.
So, because goal 1 and goal 2 have a direct impact on goal 5. We already saw that. So I think if we
Okay.
brainstorm 1 and 2, then, and I would suggest we do 5 and 6 because we've got some other folks that are already moving, needing some advice. But in any event, and then get all 6 of the goals done, and then when we come back in April, now we can discuss all of it. We can, because we're going to have minutes following this meeting that identifies the issues.
I mean, one more. I mean, another topic in this goal that I often think about is recruitment of businesses.
That's where I feel like this deserves a lot more than is there.
Yeah. I mean, I think when someone comes and says, I want to open a business, and I see this maybe a place I can rent or whatever, and I want to open a business, what do I have to do? That's what we've addressed so far on that. But I think Smithville has some real, there's some holes in the businesses that are here that keep people here, spend their money, and there are opportunities like the Brick House and other
I get what you're saying, and I think that's what Lee is getting at. The marketing plan is probably going to drive a lot of that recruitment effort.
Well, someone has to be responsible for recruitment effort. I think that's
Exactly
Right.
that doesn't happen.
Right.
Right, and I think Leah can attest over the last 4 or 5 years when she was doing kind of the recruitment stuff for the chamber. Biggest hole, we can recruit everybody. But if they have no place to go, if they don't have a vacancy, which we don't have many of, we don't
Doesn't
have.
matter. It doesn't.
Well, we can recruit the heck out of them and say, we would love for you to come to Smithville, see if you can find a place that doesn't exist.
Right.
Well,
We're
okay,
turning-
okay.
but
but
we're
there are
turning that
opportunities.
corner too.
There are opportunities.
Yes,
When
and they
come up,
are.
We should be recruiting perhaps for some needs that might be
Right.
reasonable. I don't know exactly, how you decide those things, certain things, especially since it's not
Shoe store.
owned
Right,
by,
right.
you know,
But
buildings aren't
ultimately,
owned by us, but,
Yeah, it's
they're
not a lot of
vacant and
city-owned
it's an
property.
opportunity. And if
Which
you
is
could
why-
lure someone in with a microbrewery, that'd be awesome.
We've got a new distillery. What more do you want?
The past 5 years, our biggest challenges have been our population, our trade factor, our trade count, our empty storefront, not empty storefronts, but.
Yeah.
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 And so I think we're getting ready to pass some huge obstacles that I
Right.
think we need to pull out all of our pull factors again, we need to get our every reports out again, and I think we need
Yeah.
to look and see where our gaps are.
That's gotta be in
Yes.
here.
Yeah.
I don't know how we say that,
Well, and I think that's part of the clearinghouse of information. We've got to get that information so we can get it out.
Yeah, but I think maybe we need to, this sentence is so vague, maybe we need to be more specific about the types of information that we're talking about.
I think it's very bleak for developing, for encouraging the businesses to develop. It's very
I almost think that that's a third goal. Because goal 1 is actual marketing. Goal 2 is basically making it easier once somebody decided that they wanted to come here. But a third goal might be actually, trying to draw those people in, which might be,
And we have been doing that, we just.
I think we included it as part of marketing.
yeah, but it's not,
But no, it isn't really.
Conversation that we need to do in Las Vegas and this year.
yeah.
Well, there's that thing next week in Omaha. Yeah. No, we're not attending, I don't think, right?
The Jackson plane tickets up there.
I got family. I can drive.
It's a
There's only so many hours and so many. Yeah. So ultimately, the other aspect of it is, I think going up there, I went to Vegas and learned a bunch. Leah went 2 years earlier and learned a bunch.
Yeah, we went to, what was that, St. Louis?
Yeah, and the year in between that, I had went to the one in Kansas City, that regional one. But ultimately, where we are,
Well, these are the people that might bring,
sure. And I will tell you, we're still in
Franchise
communication with many of those folks on the staff
Right.
level.
And there's a ton of recruitment that is going on right now. We should talk about, or they can talk about.
Yeah, exactly right.
Sure.
That's one of the
Well,
problems, right?
Yeah.
and for our listeners out there, as a hopefully final note on that, one of the things to remember is it's not within our power to literally recruit a specific niche or a specific brand just because our people want it. Those big companies, especially the ones that are really popular and well known, already have all the numbers about our city. They have all the numbers about our traffic. They already know whether or not it's profitable for them, and if it was, they'd already be here. So it's very difficult for us to say, hey, you giant national chain, come to Smithville.
Right.
But that doesn't mean we can't try and recruit where there are gaps, like a shoe store, from other, especially smaller entrepreneurs that really want to start something new. So,
Create the environment for people to
Correct.
be able to do it.
correct.
So I'm anticipating a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn?
is there any new business that we need to,
Well,
we want to close this?
Last time we were going to talk about the motorcycle guide, but I wasn't able to get here. My manager ditched me. So, did you guys talk about that, or what's?
We talked about waiting for this marketing firm to get on board. I still have a lot of copies from last year. The city still has a lot of copies that we thought we'd use this year to use those up, and then we would.
So you're going to basically skip 2018. Okay.
And put it
so we can actually get a really good spread that is designed to draw people and not just.
Well, and the other
Yeah,
aspect
we
is
had to
allow us to pre-sell the ad space.
Well, we shouldn't be selling it, but we should have a city ad, and then we have an opportunity for others to join.
Yeah.
Can I just quickly, the website, where is that?
That RFP has been submitted. It'll go to the board hopefully on the 6th for their recommendation thereafter on who we issue.
Municipal CMS, I had reached out to them about the explosive bill. They didn't meet the December deadline, so I could present it to my board, and they haven't met my January deadline, so I think at this point my board wants to wait and see what happens with the
Sure,
city
sure.
contract.
And we'll have, mid-February, we should have everything wrapped up and moving forward. Just got to assemble the rest of the information and get it into a format the board can understand, and then they make a call.
Any other new business? Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
Anybody?
Every matter I have died.
Love it.
2 hours